This is the Sunday stream opening song because the other song is copyrighted. La 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 la. Oh look, here comes Dog Cat Fox.
Hi, Sky.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Sunday stream. The stream I do on Sundays because Sunday is the day to stream on Sundays. Hope you're all doing well on this beautiful Sunday morning. Actually quite nice out right now. Sun's out, at least until the world-ending eclipse that is approaching on May 8th, not May 8th, April 8th or something. There's an eclipse coming. I've seen places all, oh my God, there's an eclipse coming. It's going to destroy everything. It's going to disrupt this, that. And they're like, boy, are we taking trips back to the dark ages or something? I mean, at least for the time the, moon crosses in front of the sun's path. Anyway, just random thought in my head this morning, as I often do. Hope you're all doing well on this beautiful Sunday morning. Before I get to today's topic, who's joining me on this beautiful Sunday morning? I don't know why I like saying it like that. Noah Sencio, good morning. Kiro Soldier, good morning. Advocatus Diaboli, good morning. Mike Savage, blarg. Jam, good morning. Simon Willikins, good morning. Keeverdam, good morning to you. And thank you so much, Keeverdam, as always, for providing the links to the GoFundMes for our friends Moonshock, Natalie, Angela Arriaga, James Colley, and Rhonda. If you guys can take a look at those when you have the opportunity, please do so. If you can donate, please do so. If you can't donate, please do so. Please do so. Share it out on social media. Appreciate that. Thank you, Keeverdam, as always, for providing those. Old Guy Gamer, good morning. Who else is here? Mike R., good morning. Brittany Holland, good morning. Mr. Tickletrunk, I wish I could watch live. Have to watch replay later. Well, that's okay, Mr. Tickletrunk. And thank you so much, Mr. Tickletrunk, for the lovely Dog Cat Fox. Oh, Dog Cat Fox.
Wow-wee! Wow! Wow!
Oh, it's a drunken Uncle Dog Cat Fox. Thank you so much, Mr. Tickletrunk. Hope you're having a good morning and hope you enjoy the show when you can watch it. Shady Grin, good morning. Who else is here? Derek LaRue, good morning, Derek. Good morning to you, Derek LaRue. And thank you again, as always, for your continued support and generosity. Really appreciate it. Hope you're having a good Sunday morning and hope you enjoy the show. Thank you. Jaeger Pony, good morning to you. Who else is here? Did I miss anybody? Oh, Shadowclaw, good morning. No Name, good morning. Fostonia, good morning. Somnamnul Nation, good morning. K. Shull, good morning. Who else is here? Oh my gosh, so many people, so many people. Resolute Germ, good morning. John Trioxin, good morning. Ost San, good morning. And I think, Rib Rascal, sorry, I just clicked on that. Rib Rascal, good morning. Did I get Ost San up there? I think I might have clicked through things too quickly. Either way, good morning to you all. And for anybody that I missed, I hope I didn't miss anybody. But if I did, and if you're lurking, if you're in the future, good morning. All right. So I came across this the other day. Actually, not the other day. I've had this kind of in the queue for a while, but I was trying to figure out what to do today. And I reminded myself I had this in the library. So not too long ago, we looked at a kind of congressional hearing thing about diversity and so on in jobs and such and things about women and women of color and such. I haven't looked at education in a bit, but I found this one interesting specifically because this one comes from the Congressional Hispanic Caucus Institute. Now, I never heard of the Congressional Hispanic Caucus Institute, but I found it interesting as a possible look-see because we often hear when it comes to education, the two demographics that are almost always cited first and foremost when it comes to diversity in the classroom or classroom equity and so on are Blacks and Latinos, or Latinx, depending on who's talking. But almost always we hear primarily about historically Black colleges and universities and so on. This one, I assume, will be focused on the Hispanic demographic when it comes to, as the title says, educating for equity. And of course, as we know, educating for equity basically means everybody gets the equal outcome. We lower standards, eliminate disparities by forcing people into having the same results, regardless of whether or not you actually possess the academic skill to achieve those results. We have to make all the numbers look good. Otherwise, it makes our schools look racist or something. I guess that's what I've come to learn about educating for equity. But before I get to that, Fostonia, thank you so much. That's very generous of you for the Kabuki, I think. Dog, cat, fox. Oh, dog, cat, fox.
Wowie fucking wow.
There's a Satsu 2 cents dog, cat, fox. Thank you so much, Fostonia. Yeah, Satsu's been playing Dragon's Dogma 2 the last few days. Actually, I think before that he was playing Dragon's Dogma to get Dragon's Dogma in order to prepare himself for Dragon's Dogma 2. I have Dragon's Dogma, never been able to finish it. I always start off playing it a while, and then it just kind of loses it for me. I don't know. I don't get quite into it. Maybe Skyrim ruined me for other high fantasy games. I don't know. Is Dragon's Dogma worth playing all the way through? Somebody let me know. Either way, thank you so much. So yeah, I wanted to take a look at this. This is a panel discussion. This actually took place last September, I think it was. So I've had it in my library for a while now, but these things never get old. And at least it'll tell us what people are talking about in the insiders and such. Now, I haven't previewed the opening to this, so I don't know if they spend like 5 minutes talking about their upcoming events or things like that. So if they do, we'll skip over it. Maybe there'll be a land acknowledgement. Ooh, that'd be nice to have. It's been a while since we've had a land acknowledgement. Either way, once we get into the panel discussion, we'll take a look at it. This one runs an hour long. I'm only going to go for an hour and a half in real time. We'll see how much we get through it. And I'll only do as part 2 or some other continuation if there's some compelling reason to do so. All right. So with all that being said, I'm going to start off with a few seconds for a sound test. You guys tell me if you can hear it, and then we will proceed. As soon as the sound comes up, it is going, yes. Okay.
Good afternoon. I am Magali Marlene Mejia, CHCI Public Policy Fellow, presented by Altria.
Okay, you guys hear that all right? Also, I had to do a lot of sound boosting. This sucker was really quiet when I first found it. So I've done my best. This is actually like pumping up the sound by like 7 or 8 decibels or something, and then also doing a bunch of back-end audio boosting. So if you can hear it okay, great. If not, I don't know what to do. But yeah, they had some sound issues or some audio issues when they recorded this.
I am delighted to be with you today for the Educating for Equity, Amplifying Representation, and Empowering Change.
Amplifying representation. Okay, so are they talking about classrooms or are they talking about educators? I'm thinking they're talking about educators, but I guess we'll find out.
As a former ESL teacher to migrant kids for LAUSD, majority being Central American like myself, I've had the opportunity to observe how my students were affected by educational gaps that left them behind.
Educational gaps, such as what? And again, for those of you that may not know, I have to pause relatively frequently, else YouTube spike me for letting things go too long. So I would love to just oftentimes have these things run for long periods of time without me having to break in, but such is the case of things.
While they adjusted to a new society and educational system. This affects them beyond the classroom. Not only is this an issue in the Los Angeles Unified School District, it's an issue in almost every district across the nation.
Well, of course it is. If you're coming from a different country with a different culture and a different language and a different way of doing things, and you run straight into a different educational system that has different expectations and different systems, you're always going to have some conflict. You're always going to have a time of adjustment. That's just nature of the beast. But, okay, what are you talking about specifically? Will we even find out? I don't know.
On behalf of CHCI, I would like to thank the American Federation of Teachers, Education Reform Now, GEICO.
Okay, well, GEICO, 15 minutes will save you 15% on car insurance. Boy, I've had that drilled into me now, haven't I? Let's get to the panel discussion. I just want to hear the panel discussion. Okay, all right, here we go. Let's see. Well, hold on. Let's get to the... All right. 1 second. All right, let's see. So here's our panel, just so we don't know. We have Thalia Varelas from Televisa Univision. Univision? Okay. Maybe she's the host. Evelyn De Jesus, American Federation, of Teachers. Jorge Elorza, Education Reform Now. Becky Pringle. Oh my gosh, guys, do you remember Becky Pringle? Remember her big NEA speech from like, what, a year and a half, 2 years ago now or whatever? I did a whole stream on her, just absolute insane ramblings. Oh, that was something else. The thumbnail I know says nearly incoherent. Oh boy, I'll have to pin a link to that stream in the description of this one. I didn't know Becky Pringle was going to be here. Oh boy, and Amanda Fernandez, Latinos for Education. Oh, just wait till Becky Pringle gets the mic. This is going to be great.
Woo-hoo. Thank you so much, everyone. Welcome. Before we get started, I would like to go ahead and introduce our panelists. We have Evelyn de Jesus, Executive Vice President for the American Federation of Teachers. We also have Jorge Elorza, CEO of the Education Reform Now. Becky Pringle, President for the National Education Association.
Yes, Becky Pringle. Becky Pringle. Also, as I just saw in the chat here, Timothy Seelbeck. Good morning. And bold sign, what gets me is Mexicans that wave the Mexican flag that live here in America like, I escaped this horrible country, but I'll wave its flag over the American one. It's complicated. I can see people having pride in their home country. It all depends on the context. A flag is a flag for the most part, but all comes down to intent and context. But anyway, Becky Pringle. Oh boy, I can't believe I'm more excited to hear what Becky Pringle has to say, just because my last experience with Becky Pringle was just absolutely bug nuts.
And Amanda Fernandez, CEO and founder of Latinos for Education.
Okay.
Before we dive in, I would like to go ahead and introduce myself just briefly.
By all means.
She mentioned I am Talia Varela's local news reporter, anchor, and producer for Noticias Univision Washington, D.C. And I was born in Juarez, Chihuahua. I was brought to the U.S. when I was 2 years old. It's been everything but easy for me. I firsthand struggled with the same issues our community is facing when it comes to education.
What struggles? Is it the language and cultural barrier? Because I think it's effectively unavoidable. I guess it depends on how it's managed by, I would hope, the parents and in conjunction with the educational system. But then I don't know what the purported gaps are with the educational system side of things.
I am a DACA recipient.
Okay. So your parents broke federal law to come to this country. Okay.
When I was graduated from high school, I wasn't able to go straight to college because of the lack of knowledge, resources, and also not the right guidance.
Okay, whoever's shaking the camera, stop shaking the camera. You're gonna give me seasickness.
I eventually ended up figuring it out, but it took me longer than it should have, and I did pay the price.
Why? Why did it take you longer than it should have?
I did graduate from Arizona State University, Walter Cronkite School of Journalism and Mass Communications, and I then moved to Boston.
Are your parents still in the country illegally?
That's where I joined my Univision family, and here I am now. With that said, I am excited to be here today and talk to all of you to explore the critical issues that impact our Latino achievement in K-12. So let's go ahead.
Latino? Okay, is anybody going to say Latinx? I guess my question is, on a panel of mostly Latino individuals, will anybody refer to their demographic as Latinx?
Diving into the questions. The first question, when it comes to education diversity, how can we ensure education diversity pipeline of educators? Evelyn?
Okay, so yes, we're talking about educator diversity. So we're talking about populating schools with teachers of a specific demographic. All right, so how do you pipeline the correct looking teachers?
So good morning, everyone. I'm Evelyn de Jesus, the Executive Vice President of AFT. I'm the first Latina. I believe it took me 107 years to get here.
You're not that, okay. Your ethnicity does not make you special. It took you 107 years to get over yourself.
But I am here, and watch out.
Yeah, no, I'm shaking in my boots.
So this is something that's very, very dear to my heart and to the American Federation of Teachers and to the National Education Association.
I can imagine.
But despite the critical role teachers and paraprofessionals, which some states call them teachers' aid, play in the lives of children, the U.S. definitely falls short in its recruitment, retention, preparation of school personnel needed to meet students' needs.
Well, how do you define students' needs? Because we're talking about representation, we're talking about demographic fit, and you say students' needs. Okay. See, I can't help but imagine that we're going to, at some point, reach some argument where like should be educated by like, right? If students can't see themselves in their educators, they can't believe a better future for themselves. Or there's an inherent cultural competency that comes between a teacher of one ethnicity and students who are of that same observable ethnicity. I have this psychic feeling. I have the psychic feeling we're going to get to that kind of argument here sooner or later.
Teacher turnover is nearly double than that of other occupations. The AFT released a report. Let me give you this report. You guys all have it in July. That might be the most important report that we put out. And the name of this report is Here Today, Gone Tomorrow: What America Must Do to Attract and Retain the Educators and School Staff Our Students Need.
Well, I got to wonder, given the, increasingly volatile nature of what it is to be a teacher these days, is teacher turnover a result of, well, I guess that'd be my first question. What is causing teacher turnover? But given the animosity and the conflicting messages from administrations about what to teach and how to teach it, and pushback from parents and things, and how long it's gone on where you have these activist teachers end up in schools, or you have teachers who are not activists who end up in activist schools. You have this conflict of ideologies going on. I can imagine there's a lot of teacher turnover these days. I'd be curious to find out if they mention what they think the cause or causes are. But what does this have to do with the ethnicity of a teacher?
That report identifies a diversity crisis. We are in a crisis, brothers and sisters, that coincides with the crisis in teacher retention throughout our country.
Okay. Explain what you mean.
Let me give you some data.
Okay.
Almost 75% of U.S. public school teachers are white.
What? 75% of U.S. public school teachers are white? Well, how can we solve for this problem? Okay. And?
79%.
Oh, 79%? I thought you said 75. My apologies. 79% of public school teachers are white. All right. And?
While 7% are Black. 9% are Hispanic.
Okay. 9. So 79, you got 11 to play with. Wait. No, sorry. My math is terrible. I'm a terrible 21%. Okay, so all right, so what's the remainder then?
Fewer than 3% of teachers are Asian.
Okay, so you got Asian is 3, Black is 7, that's 10, so 89, and then you've got 9%. Oh, okay, so we got 2% remainder. Am I right there? 2% left over? Okay, so I guess that might be like Pacific Islander or Native American or something.
American and Pacific Islander.
Oh, okay.
And yet, less than half of public school students are white.
Oh, okay. I knew it. Here we go. Like should only speak to like. We have to have equal representation compared to population demographics and so on. Okay, well, how do you solve for this problem in hiring teachers then? I can't count how many times I've asked this question. By what mechanism would you solve for this problem of the wrong colored people being in jobs?
While 28% are Hispanic and 15% are Black. Let me just say that once again. The majority of public school students in this country are non-white.
Oh my God. And so what?
While 4 to 5 of the public school teachers are white, the largest non-white group of students are Latinos, are us.
Are us. We are the Borg.
We know that all students benefit from a diverse workforce.
We do? Do we? Oh, okay. And so what are you going to do about it?
The opportunity to learn from different perspectives is valuable to all of us.
Right, because skin color and ethnicity defines ways of thinking, as we know.
The opportunity that students of color benefit from having teachers that look like them, know their cultures and their languages.
I knew it. Can I get a gold ribbon for psychic ability?
However, we know that we need much more work to do to fill in and attract teachers of color, especially Latinos.
Especially Latinos. Okay, so ethnic supremacy. All right, great.
So let me give you a few recommendations.
Okay, all right.
Our report makes a number of them.
Mm-hmm.
Number one,
yes.
Fund teacher preparation through the Early Student Success Act, which we call ESSA Act.
Does that specifically target Latino demographics or something?
Currently, funds can be used to create and support teacher residency programs and professional development. The federal government could develop a diverse teacher corps grant program to ensure that candidates of color do not incur, and I know many people in this room can identify to this, do not incur significant debt while training to become teachers.
Okay, so you want the federal government to financially cover any teacher applicant through this program so long as they are of a particular specified ethnicity. You know, because there's kind of a kerfuffle taking place right now, at least on the, let's say, private nonprofit territory with the Fearless Fund doing something similar. Right, issuing grants specifically to business owners who are female and Black. And there's a lawsuit taking place as to whether or not that is a legal practice. Now, as I've said in previous streams, from the law that they are citing that the Fearless Fund is supposedly breaking, I can't see how it's illegal. If a private entity, even a nonprofit, wants to issue grants in a racist and sexist fashion, it's not necessarily illegal. It might be unseemly. It might be unethical. It might be completely, countermanding years and years and years of civil rights laws in this country, in the spirit of, at least, not necessarily legal. For the federal government to do that, I think would be a bit more cagey to do. So you want a federal education program to just pay all the bills of any teacher in training who happens to be of your preferred ethnicity. Okay, I guess that is one way to do it.
It should include robust funding for the Hawkins Centers of Excellence program to support diversifying the educator workforce, of increasing the number of high-quality teacher preparation programs.
You don't care about quality. Quality is not your first priority. Now, the quality of the teacher does not matter next to their preferred ethnicity, right? You just told us this. Is that special privileges and special funding should be allocated to people on the basis of their skin color first and foremost. So the quality of the teacher, the amount of skills, passion, other education they possess is at best a secondary consideration.
At historically Black colleges and universities, tribal colleges, and Hispanic serving institutes. Hispanic serving institutes currently prepare half of all Latino teachers and are ideally positioned to help prepare a new generation of effective teachers. States can also play a key role by passing a Grow Your Own bill that supports partnership among local education agencies, university, district partners. And they can also support mentorships and teacher and staff onboarding programs.
They could, but you're not talking about just supporting teachers or teachers in training writ large. You want them to provide special privileges and opportunities to people on what they look like. That's what you're vying for. Okay, now. I would love to see if we could sort of flip the universal realities here. If we had a panel full of white people saying, let's have the government make sure that no teacher in training goes into debt if they are white. What would our speakers have to say about that idea, I wonder? Would they find fault in that kind of thinking? I bet they would. I mean, I'm just guessing here, but I bet they would. And you know what? They'd be right too. So this makes sense how?
They're designated to provide the kind of support, especially now after COVID, that will help new teachers. Local school districts are critical to this effort. But they could start by partnering with local higher ed institutions to strengthen, grow your own programs.
Grow your own program. You seem to be dancing around the main point here. All of this sounds great, except that you're talking about specifically favoring people who look like you. Do you see the problem with that? I assume not.
Unions like us also have a key role to play in collaborating with all stakeholders to make these programs work. So let me give you examples of things that we've done that have worked.
Oh, example. I mean, if for no other reason than this, I appreciate what she's talking about, because at least she's providing ideas and examples and solutions and so on for the problem that she's outlining. Now, whether they make any sense, whether they make any legal sense, don't know. But we're getting more from our first speaker than we do most TEDx talks that last like 12 or 15 minutes.
In partnership with Montclair State University and Newark Public Schools, they launched a new teacher academy. The high school program would educate and prepare students to return to their own communities to teach, enrich, and be part of the educator workforce.
Okay, their own communities. Wait a second. Okay, I'm just imagining my own past with education. So I was in high school with a whole bunch of kids who were in the same district as me, right? And we didn't all live right next to each other, but we lived within, like 5 or 10 miles of each other. Return to my own community. I think there's going to be a saturated market at that point, right? Unless you're talking about community in some other abstract sense. Because when I think of like community, I think of like my neighborhood. Right? I think of like the geographical area in which I grew up or something. Sometimes, though, I can't tell if they're talking about community in that sense, the town I grew up in, the neighborhood, whatever, or if they're talking about community insofar as assumed demographic monolith. Does that make sense? Because these words are used so interchangeably, I get confused at times, so I'm not quite sure what she means.
The Chicago Teachers Union has bargained for funds for Grow Your Own program in their public schools.
She said that phrase several times now, grow your own program. Grow your own program. Is that some like boilerplate educational system thing? I don't know. I'm not an educator. I'm not involved in the whole thing, but grow your own program. What does that mean? Is that some established thing? I don't know.
And help launch Grow Your Own Teachers. In Illinois, a statewide effort to close the teacher. Baltimore Teachers Union support a teacher academy cluster that they start looking at students in the 10th grade.
Okay, how does this increase the numbers of specifically Latino teachers, as is your goal? And also, I don't know what's going on with the lady on the end, but she's got a look on her face like she's like in the same spot I am. She's confused.
And in Oklahoma City, can you imagine? Federation of Classified Employees has partnered with Lansing University to develop a program for paraprofessionals who want to become teachers.
Great. How does that further your agenda?
And we've done things in several states, as California, New York, Texas, New Jersey. But one thing I want to talk about.
Wasn't this just supposed to be a brief introduction or something? Was she meant to be giving an entire speech at this point? I thought we were just supposed to be going around the room introducing ourselves. It's just, lady, this isn't just about you. You're supposed to say, hi, my name is what? My name is who? My name is Waka Waka teacher lady. And then you move on to the next guy.
That these states have passed laws and allowed DACA recipients to pursue professional licenses.
Well, if you're a DACA recipient, that would, yeah. That's kind of the point. That's the whole point behind the DACA/DREAM Act deal, is that you're not going to penalize children who were taken against their will, knowledge, or consent across the border illegally and have effectively done no one any harm of their own volition the entire time they've been in the country. Okay.
This opened the opportunity for hundreds of DACA recipients to pursue a career in teaching and are now in the classrooms. Many of them are parts of AFT and NEA. The overwhelming number of DACA recipients are people of color, thus making documented teachers a vehicle for school districts to address teacher diversity and serve as alternative to importing educators from afar.
Okay, but between the lady on the far end and our moderator on the other end, it seems obvious to me that everybody here is a little bit uncomfortable with our first speaker going from an introduction to a full-on lecture/speech. This is not your panel. This was supposed to be, hi, my name is. I mean, that in and of itself tells me a lot about our speaker, but it's also very interesting to watch everybody squirm on the stage.
And let me just say
that
a travesty it is that Congress has yet to muster the political will to pass legislation that will provide DACA recipients with a pathway to citizenship.
Okay, well, I'll grant you that. The whole DACA thing, the DREAM Act, should be put before Congress for an up or down vote. DACA was instituted by executive fiat, and that's not how it should have happened. Trump tried to get Congress to do their jobs and have an up or down vote on the DREAM Act by attempting, and I say attempting, to end DACA, to put their feet to the fire. But he was stopped, and they haven't. So it's still nebulous. The whole DACA thing is still up in the air every day. It's a tenuous thing, depending on who's in the White House. So I can't imagine that Trump's not going to try again to do something about DACA if he gets reelected. But even under Biden, even when he had control, or the Democrats had control of the House and the Senate, they didn't do anything either. But our borders are sure open. Hey.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Evelyn. Would you, Amanda, have anything else to add in regards to that?
Absolutely. So I appreciate all of the data. We understand what the issues are of representation.
Do you understand? And also, her microphone's really quiet.
In our country.
In our country.
Our children do not have mirrors.
Our children do not have mirrors. Oh, you mean aside from, I don't know, their parents? Our children do not have mirrors. Okay, tell me more.
In fact, most Latino children will never see a Latino teacher in their classroom.
Why does that matter?
This is why Latinos for Education exists. I founded the organization 7 years ago because we wanted to directly impact ensuring that more educators came into the classroom and stayed in the classroom and accelerate their leadership. We are doing something specific about it. We provide fellowships
for people of a specific race or ethnicity,
development opportunities
for people of a specific race or ethnicity,
because it's one of the biggest issues that we see in retention. Latino educators do not feel supported.
Why? What do Latino teachers feel they are not getting? What? I don't know if they'll answer this, but this is the question. They talk about, retention. They talk about turnover and so on. Okay, what is driving teachers, at least in this instance, from a specific race or ethnic background, away from the work? What is it that they're not receiving?
They feel like they exist with a brown tax because they often have to be the Latino or the Spanish-speaking voice in their school building.
Well, if the whole thrust of your movement is to put Latino teachers in the classroom so that they are a mirror for the students that they are teaching, what other utility are you going to have except for representing a particular appearance and conceivably also being able to speak, communicate, or connect with students on the basis of their ethnic similarity. And that comes down to language as well. And here's the thing. If no one in the school speaks Spanish and there's one person who does, well, it might just be out of necessity. I don't know what to tell you. This is the major problem. So they're quitting because they're being asked to speak a language that they speak.
It's time for that to change.
How? What do you propose to have happen?
We ensure that we offer programs and opportunities for Latinos to enter the classroom and stay.
How? Okay. How is what you are doing different from what has come before? What is special about your initiative that makes it so that they will stay? That they're not just there as a token, wink, wink, nudge, nudge, so they'll stay.
The second really important piece that we need to talk about is policy change.
Okay.
We've got a lot we can do on the practice side
to
support our educators.
Your Latino educators, you mean?
And it needs to be done.
Like?
Recruiting, retaining, and advancing.
Yeah.
On the policy side, we must develop policies that reduce and remove barriers to educational opportunity for Latino students, but also for our educators.
Okay, well, I know I'm going to regret asking it. Name some barriers. Name some barriers that are specific for Latino educators. Right? Either in policy or practice or whatever. What are you going to do? What have you identified as the problem, and how do you propose to solve for it?
So what does that look like?
I don't know.
In Massachusetts, we recently created a bill called the Educator Diversity Act.
The Educator Diversity Act sounds perfect.
The Educator Diversity Act is designed to remove through policy, significant barriers.
Such as?
Around licensure.
Licensure. Okay, what is a barrier for licensure? Is one of those barriers being a citizen of the United States?
Making sure there are alternative paths to licensure, so we are capturing the full breadth of the skills that Latino educators can bring into the classroom.
Okay. What about the current requirements for licensure specifically block people of Latino descent or ethnicity? What? Where is it written in licensure law that says, thou shalt have a more difficult time achieving licensure if you happen to be Latino? Where in the Massachusetts law did it say that? What are you talking about specifically?
We want to bring data. We still don't have good data that tells us how many Latinos are coming into the classrooms, how many are leaving. And
Really? Really? You don't have any data on that? I mean, don't get me wrong. Maybe your organization just started up yesterday and you haven't collected it all, but I'm pretty sure that over, say, the last 10 or 15 years or so, there's been a lot of data collected by educational institutions in Massachusetts and elsewise and other study places that might tell you that. I can't believe that there's been nothing done to evaluate or keep track of student population demographics. We just had the First Lady give us a breakdown on a national level. You're telling me that the state of Massachusetts has done nothing to track the demographic split of its student populations? Oh, I mean, if you say so, I guess.
at the federal level, we need to get that right too.
What? She just told us the federal statistics. So you've got federal statistics on teacher breakout as far as ethnicity and race. You don't have student body breakdowns, really? I'm not trying to sound facetious here. I'm bewildered if that's actually true. That sounds bizarre to me.
We also want to make sure that at the school district level, that there are diversity councils.
Diversity councils. Oh, okay. Yeah. Which finder generals for race? How is that going to work?
Educators of color can be on so that their voices are uplifted.
Oh, right. Because in any other instance, because of the color of their skin, nobody would listen to them. Right? They need a special counsel and populated with people who look a certain way. Otherwise, they can't say anything and nobody would listen to them. Okay.
We need culturally affirming school buildings and schoolhouses.
Culturally affirming school buildings and school. Okay, which culture is being affirmed? I can only guess. What culture should be held prominent in these structures?
It's imperative that our schoolhouses have the culture that will want us to stay.
Have the culture that will want us to stay. Maybe this is just pie in the sky thinking for me. Shouldn't there be like some, I don't know, for a good teacher to be a good teacher, shouldn't there just be a sort of self-generated impetus to teach, to want to educate? It's like, this building does not reflect my culture. I'm not going to work here. I mean, admittedly, if that is the bar over which a quote-unquote teacher is going to jump for whether or not they'll stick around, maybe it's better that they don't. I don't know. Maybe that's just me.
So these are really important provisions that an act like the Educator Diversity Bill bring to the fore.
Do they?
These bills are not that common across the country.
I can imagine why.
I'm really proud of the work that Latinos for Education does in this regard, because we have introduced model legislation that will be able to be replicated in its full force across many states.
I cringe at the thought.
Thank you so much. Go ahead, Jorge.
Yeah, so let me just begin by saying buenas tardes. It really is beautiful sitting here and seeing like all of the amazing brown faces out there.
Well, I mean, I'm sure you find it amazing. I'm glad you find it amazing that you have so many people whose skin color you appreciate. Good gravy. Tell me you're a racist without telling me explicitly that you're a racist. I love it.
It really is an honor and a privilege to be here with you all.
Oh, is it a privilege? It's a privilege to be surrounded by the correct melanin count. If you say so, by all means, keep digging that hole, shovel tongue.
Second, I want to say that Evelyn and Amanda just double click and underscore everything that they just said.
Hello, fellow kids.
I think that's right on. So I want to add just a little different take to it, or different perspective to this.
Whoa, the camera's shaking again. Oh, we got an earthquake. Stop it, cameraman.
And that's that. First of all, the Augustus Hawkins bill that Evelyn mentioned. Yes, let's invest more in HBCUs, Hispanic serving institutions.
Hispanic serving institutions. The Hawkins, I've never heard of this Hawkins bill thing. What is this Hawkins bill? Hold on. What do you call it again? Apologies.
Right on. So I want to add just a little different take to it, or different perspective to this. And that's that, first of all, the Augustus Hawkins bill that...
The Augustus Hawkins bill. Okay, hold on. I apologize. But they've mentioned this too many times for me not to wonder. Okay, the Augustus Hawkins bill. Yes. Okay. No, go away. Okay. No, not representative. Where's the bill? Okay. Is this it? This might be it. HR 5 100th. January 6th, 1987? Do I have the right thing here? I wonder if I do. I'm not sure. Hold on. A bill to improve elementary and secondary education and for other purposes. Okay. This might be a much deeper dive than I'm prepared to do right now. Yeah. If there's a summary of this somewhere, I don't have it. 1988, it passed Congress. Okay. To improve elementary and secondary education for other purposes. Yeah, it covers a wide range of different things. So I'm sure that whatever they're talking about is included. I don't have the time to dive into it right now, but okay, that's what they're referring to. Apparently something from 1988.
That Evelyn mentioned. Yes, let's invest more in HBCUs, Hispanic serving institutions. These are the institutions that are creating that pipeline of talent that we need back into our own communities.
Again, talent is a secondary consideration, right? There's a filter at the front of that pipeline.
And there's a lot that we can do at the national level to make sure that we're investing in these institutions to then invest in our communities. Evelyn mentioned the crisis that we're facing on this issue.
Right. The crisis of too many white teachers, not enough teachers of your specific race.
And it truly is a crisis. If we don't figure out this teacher pipeline issue, there are going to be some really significant challenges up ahead, even greater challenges than we're already facing.
Such as?
I want to add a different element to this as well, though, that the teacher pipeline issue is not only a cause of challenges to come, but it's also a symptom of some of the crises that we face today. And I talk to teachers all the time, and I think everyone agrees.
Do you talk to teachers all the time of any particular appearance, or do you specialize? I mean, I don't know why I have to ask that question.
Teachers are tired. Teachers are overworked. They're underpaid. They're underappreciated.
Well, especially these days, depending on what it is that they are teaching or pushing, I can see why they might be underappreciated. Have you ever seen Libs of TikTok by any chance?
No, teachers come into this work looking to save the world.
Yeah, that's kind of the problem, is that teachers come into this work trying to save the world. They're not there to save the world. They're there to educate students. They're there to improve students' critical thinking skills and educate them on facts, figures, math, arithmetic, etc. Not save the world. I think that's part of the problem. Teachers these days are being built up and pumped up to be activists, not educators.
Yeah.
But the dysfunction, year by year, drop by drop, demoralizes you more and more. And it's hard to keep upbeat and optimistic about this work in the light of that dysfunction.
You want to get more specific on what dysfunction you're talking about? Because, yeah, if they go into this job expecting to, quote unquote, save the world, I'm pretty sure their aspirations will fall short of reality. I'm pretty sure. So you think maybe you're setting up teachers to fail from the get-go, if that's the expectation you've been putting into them?
And so a friend of mine just finished a book. I won't bore you on it, but
too late.
He looked at the role of geeks, like the techie folks. He said
the role of geeks, the techie folks.
That a lot has been written about geeks. He uses it like in an affectionate way.
Well, yes. You know, those of us that have been geeks most of our lives, nerds and otherwise, we had no choice but to use it in an affectionate way because everybody else around us growing up was using it in a derogatory way. And, you know, the tide has shifted over time. I don't know if you've noticed.
The role that they've had in technology.
The role that geeks have had in technology.
But little has been done to look at the impact that they have had on how they run organizations.
Really? The geeks, little has been looked at as far as how geeks run organizations. Gosh, boy, oh boy, you know what? You're right. You know, somebody really should do a study on, gosh, who am I? Bill Gates, Steve Jobs, right? What Nolan Bushnell. I mean, no one's ever taken a look at how geeks run organizations. What are you talking about?
Figured out better ways to run organizations.
What the? Okay, all right. Let me just. I'll just take on for a moment that I live in a universe where no one has ever taken a look at how geeks have run organizations. All right, let's assume that's true for the moment. So what are you proposing? That there finally be some examination of how geeks have run organizations? Is that what we're leading up to?
And he basically says that organizations, high functioning, dynamic organizations and systems have 4 main qualities. The first is speed.
Speed. Yes, I suppose meth would be very instrumental.
Fast cycles of iteration.
Okay, yeah,
Constantly trying new things and learning.
Yeah, and it's never been assessed that way before.
Ownership. Making sure that people have ownership to make decisions rather than rely on bureaucratic steps of approvals or yes or no goes.
I'm sure that's never been thought of before.
Scientific process and a belief in data. Making sure you have ready access to data on the fly so you're using it.
Wow, this is all revelatory.
And also an openness to different ideas and approaches to things.
Okay, well, with all that being said, what does any of that have to do with the subject today?
When I think about speed, ownership, science, and using data on a continuum basis and openness, there's a lot of this that we need to integrate into the whole bureaucracy and system of public education to make it work.
Would you like to give us some specifics on that?
Thank you for that. And would you want to add to that?
Oh boy, here we go. Here we go. Once you pop, you cannot stop. Becky Pringle, let's go.
So Evelyn certainly laid a really good foundation for us as we talk about the diversity in our workforce.
Well, Evelyn basically laid out an entire lecture series before we got to another speaker, so I don't see how we can avoid it.
The only things I would want to add to that is as I travel all over the country.
Yes.
And, we talk about the educator shortage as this new crisis. It's not a new crisis. It's chronic. It's been existing. We've been following the decline of college students making the choice to go into education.
And it's across the board, right? Even white people aren't becoming teachers at the same rate. Correct? Okay, so you're going to solve for this by putting up more barriers. This is what they keep talking about, like, we're going to take down barriers for this, that, and the other, but we're going to give special pathways to certain demographics. Well, if you're giving special pathways to certain racial demographics in funding and opportunities and professional development programs and so on, you know what you're effectively doing? You're creating barriers for others. You're creating stopgaps for others based on their skin color. You want to talk about taking down barriers? Okay, stop filtering on the basis of ethnicity.
For almost 2 decades, honestly. So it's chronic. Of course, like everything else, the pandemic made it worse.
The pandemic is a blip. It's got nothing to do with the overall pattern of behavior of people and systems over the course of the last decade or more. Okay, two some odd years, yeah, it throws a big wrench into things, but it doesn't change what you already said. It's been happening for 20 years. What does the pandemic have to do with it?
And who did it become worse for?
Who did it become worse for? The students.
Teachers of color.
No, the student. It became worse for the students in having their entire educational regimen, just stopped and stalled and paused and screwed up. Their socialization skills, their educational pattern, their ability to learn, everything. Teachers of color. Give me a break.
Students of color.
Oh, no, not students, just students of color. Yeah, all the white kids had a paradise of it. Boy, oh boy, I tell you, the pandemic was just like an extended summer vacation with no negative consequences whatsoever for the white students. Oh, but all the others. Oh, Becky Pringle, boy, you never disappoint.
Particularly Black and brown and indigenous students as well.
Oh, Black, brown, indigenous. Asian kids were insulated from it?
Well. And one of the pieces of the shortage that we are facing, particularly in really taking on diversifying our workforce,
yes,
is not just the recruitment part,
which I think is probably regulated by certain laws, but yes,
but the retention.
Yeah, Title VI might be an issue you want to look at.
Really understanding why are teachers leaving? And when we
I agree. Why are teachers leaving? Okay. You say this is a problem that's been taking place for 20 years. All right. Before the pandemic, and the pandemic, it's got nothing to do with the overall pattern. So after 20 years of this crisis occurring, what is or what are the causes for teachers dropping out?
Unpack that. As I travel all over this country, they say one word to me.
Yeah.
And that one word is respect.
Respect. They're dropping out because they're not getting respect. Okay, respect from who? In what way are they not getting respect? What do you mean?
That's what they say to me.
Uh-huh.
Becky, we are not respected.
What does that mean?
And so when I ask them to unpack that, what does respect look like to you?
Yes.
I bet you can guess what their first answer is.
Honestly, at this point, I couldn't possibly fathom. What is their first answer?
Yeah, professional pay.
Yeah.
Professional pay. Okay, so it has nothing to do with race. It's got to do with compensation. Okay. And maybe there's an argument for that. I've heard that teachers are underpaid forever and ever and ever and ever and ever. And, state to state and otherwise, maybe that's true. I don't know. But at the same time, I think you get paid what you deserve and earn. And so teacher performance is something you have to gauge. You don't just get a giant paycheck for showing up. You have to show that you're actually doing your job over the course of time. But yes, initial pay and regular upgrades thereof for cost of living and otherwise, I don't think that's unreasonable. It all depends on the circumstances. But okay.
They are not being paid in a manner that actually reflects the important work they do.
Okay, no. Yes, educating students is important work. Teacher pay should be, in part, dependent on performance. Because it's one of those things where it really does depend on how well your students do is a reflection of your abilities as a teacher, right? So are your students learning? Are your students showing a progression of advanced knowledge as time goes on? Are you showing those grades going up, stabilizing, or otherwise? All right, so it is important work. The question is, are you accomplishing it? And then your pay should be, assessed commensurate to that, aside from basic costs of living. It is one of those things where it is a profession where there are demonstrable results of your work. It's not as simple as just flipping a few switches or coding some stuff. It depends on the output. Is there improvement in student success? Now, of course, if we lower all the standards for what qualifies as student success, well, then all teachers look like they're doing great. But I'm sure that has nothing to do with anything in the calculus of this.
Why that's so important for me to highlight that in the context of the question is because particularly in Black and brown communities, the retention of educators is impacted by the reality that they are not making enough money to start a family.
They're not making enough money to start a family? Wait a second. If you're not making enough money to start a family, maybe you shouldn't start a family. Or maybe you need to find a more lucrative line of work first. What?
To have a house.
Well, I don't have a house. Who the hell can afford to buy a house these days?
To continue in the profession they love, because more of our teachers of color.
Why do you keep coming down to so what? A white teacher automatically can afford to have a family, to buy a house just because they're white? Is that how that works? Well, where's my house? I've been working my entire adult life at this point. I don't have a house. I can't afford a house. Where's my house? Oh, but I'm not a teacher, I guess. So what are you talking? Oh, man, Becky Pringle. I tell you, Becky Pringle never fails to disappoint.
come from communities where they have existed in generational poverty, where they don't have that wealth of their family to, first of all, to support them going to school. But if they decide to go into education, they can't stay
just because of their skin color
in education. So we've got to tackle the issue of pay.
We've got to tackle the issue of pay, but specifically for people of certain races. Not teacher pay across the board, but just if you happen to be... Well, we already heard from our first speaker who said that educational programs should be funded in such a way that Latino teachers in training should incur no significant debt. So just have all your bills paid because you happen to be a particular skin color.
And we have right now, both in the Congress and in the Senate, teacher pay acts that we certainly encourage you to support. We're both advocating for support of those things.
Teacher pay acts for teachers across the board. Well, see, but here's the problem. That'll help white teachers too, right? I mean, I have to assume there's something in the bills that say this is specifically for minority demographic teachers. You're putting that into federal law somewhere, correct?
The other thing that we found out is that the decline in student enrollment, college student enrollment,
college student enrollment, okay,
in the profession of education, we knew we had to get ahead of that before before they were in college. And so what you're seeing is, and what NEA has been and not only advocating for, but actually funding are teacher cadet programs.
Teacher cadet programs geared towards specific demographics? I have to ask.
Teacher cadet programs specifically focused on attracting those high school students of color.
Okay, so the NEA, okay, just you know what? I'm gonna do a little shorthand here. Hold on. Based on what she just said, let me read this. Title VI and race, color, or national origin discrimination. No person in the United States shall, on the ground of race, color, or national origin, be excluded from participation in, be denied the benefits of, or be subjected to discrimination under any program or activity receiving federal financial assistance. So with that being said, the National Education Association is putting forward programs in high schools targeting specific racial demographics for tracking and advancement. And this is being said on a public stage by a public official. I'll just let that lie right where it is.
To not only encourage them to go in the profession of teaching, but partnering particularly with HBCUs and HSIs to actually have them earn credit while they are in high school.
Right. Specifically based on what again?
So by the time they're in college, they have those college credits. So that helps us in multiple ways. So they are not only starting college with those credits, so it's not costing as much for them to go to school, but they're more likely to stay in the profession because they've had the opportunity to have the mentorship of other educators. Other educators who look like. So as we think about tackling the issue of teacher retention, actually attracting them to the profession, but mostly of the retention piece, we've got to make sure that we're starting earlier and we are supporting them and making sure they earn professional pay. Right. And specifically based on what they look like. Okay, well, we've heard from all of our speakers now. Let's see, how much time do I have into this so far? 1 hour and 4 minutes. All right, so now maybe we'll get into some discussion or some other meet. We're only 20 minutes into the overall presentation. Boy, I do talk a lot, don't I?
Thank you for that. And to that point, Mayor Elorza, you were a two-term mayor in a city in which 43% of voters were Hispanic. Based on your experience, what do you see?
Wait, 43%. Sorry, I missed that. 43% of what? Hold on. Let me try this again.
Stay in the profession because they've had the opportunity to have the mentorship of other educators.
Elorza, you were a two-term mayor in a city in which 43% of voters were Hispanic.
43% of orders? I heard her say orders. Did I miss something? Voters. Okay, Advocata says voters. All right, my apologies. Her accent made it sounded like orders. Okay, voters were Hispanic.
Based on your experience, what do you see that Hispanic parents, voters want from the education system?
Yeah, thank you for the question. So I've been on board as the CEO of Education Reform Now in DFER for about 4 months. Before that, 8 years as the mayor of Providence. And in that role, I oversaw the public schools.
Oh, and given your initial declaration of how happy you were to see so many brown faces in the audience, I can't imagine what philosophy you brought to overseeing public schools.
And if there are 2 lessons that I've drawn from it. First of all, we have an absolute crisis on our hands. Like, it can't be overstated.
Well, it can be overstated, but you guys have done a good job about stating it,
And as an example, in Providence,
Mm-hmm.
If you take out one magnet school that we have, it's a test in high school. You have to take a test. All the most prepared kids go there. If you didn't go, or if you don't go to that high school, only 2.4% of all kids in the city of Providence are proficient in math as they're graduating from high school.
Wow, that's really sad. This one school. Okay, so what's going on with math in the other schools? Dramatic pause, yeah.
2.4%.
Yeah, 2.4%.
Now you might say, well, maybe COVID. In 2019, before COVID, it was 2.8%.
So again, the pandemic has really nothing to do with overall patterns over time.
And if you go back over the decades,
yes,
it's the same thing over and over and over. Folks, this is outrageous.
You're right. It is outrageous. What is the cause of this? Lack of Hispanic teachers?
We've allowed this to exist for decades upon decades.
Okay, and when you were mayor overseeing this, what did you do to try to address it?
And it's not just Providence. It's Providence, it's Baltimore, it's every major urban city in the country.
You're right. Yeah, math scores and math ability has nosedived over the last several years. You're correct. What is causing it? And what did you do when you were overseeing public schools to try to address it? I'm not going to hold you to curing it, but given the fact that you recognized it as a problem, what did you do to try to address it?
And what we hope to do in my organization is to ensure that we are coming up with policy solutions.
Like what? If it's been going on for decades, you must have some idea of the cause. All right. So, okay. All right. Give me a policy solution.
That work at the intersection of policy and politics.
What?
That match the scale of urgency and scale of crisis that we're facing.
What? What is that? What the fuck is that?
Now, what do we do?
I don't know. What do we do?
The second thing that I learned through overseeing a school department is that there is no one thing.
You're right. You're right. It's rarely the case that one thing causes all the problems, but you must have an idea of at least, let's say, the top 3. No, even I'll make it easier. The top 2. What are the top 2 issues that need to be tackled in order to address the absolute dearth of mathematical ability? Wait, no. See, this is what this is my English major problem. I say a word, and sometimes I think I know what it means. Okay, I was correct. Because dearth, it has that really like oomph to it. So it sounds like a word that means a lot of things. Like I have a dearth of dearth. It's like a very, very meaty word, but it actually means scarcity. And so reflexively, I say dearth, but then I second guess myself for a second, like, wait a second, am I using that word in the correct context? I am, but I needed to double check because even I second guess myself from time to time. Anyway, yes, the dearth of mathematical ability among students. Give us the top two issues, causes, whatever, that need to be addressed by policy. Could you? Would you? Can you?
There is no one idea that's going to revolutionize the whole system.
I get it. But please specify for us what you do suggest to try to mitigate the problem.
The system is too large, it's too complex, it's too dynamic.
Yeah.
But what we do have to do is start to build momentum.
What does that mean?
And we believe, in my organization, that the place to start
is
by empowering parents.
What? Wait, is this the first time that parents have come up in this entire thing? Maybe so. I mean, kids don't have a mirror, but okay. Empowering parents to...
And offering them a broad array of public school options.
A broad array of public school options.
And so traditional public schools and public charter schools are part of the mix.
What? How is that going to address the deficiencies in mathematical skill? I'm not joking around here. I do not know or understand how that is going to address the problems he's cited. What is that going to do? How does that improve teacher retention? Or actually, what I'm more curious about, quality of teachers. Public and charter schools. What?
But we got to look real seriously at inter-district choice as well.
You just told us that in your own territory, one magnet school was accounting for the only math successes in the entire city or whatever. What is, if the problem is so endemic that an entire school system is dependent upon one school for any mark of success, what is expanding the options across a district going to do for that problem? What are you talking about?
Why is it that we still lock children and families into these school district boundaries?
Because of travel time and distance. More often than not, it is travel time and distance. How much extra time is it going to take a kid from their home to some other district 70 miles away or something every day? You realize these kids have to come back home at some point, right? That their parents coming home from work have to be there in time for their kid, or they don't want their kids sitting on a bus for 4 hours a day just to get to and from school. Why? Geography.
That were basically shaped by discriminatory housing policies of the past.
Well, yeah, and now let's shape them by discriminatory education policies of the present. Have you been listening to yourself? Of course not.
That's just wrong.
Oh.
Inter-district choice we believe in as well. I understand that many parents may prefer the school around the corner from their house.
Yeah, I think they would. Is it always the best option? No, not necessarily. But it should be. And if it's not, why don't you solve for that problem first rather than shipping people off somewhere else? You're just leaving a problem there, right? If the school around the corner isn't adequate, well, then why leave that school there untouched?
But some parents might prefer the school around the corner from their job.
Okay. And this is me not having ever had a child, never had to do with students, myself or districts or something else. Is it currently, and I guess this might be a jurisdiction to jurisdiction question, is it currently impossible for a parent to elect to have their kid attend a school in a different district? Are they disallowed from applying to have their child attend a school in a different district compared to the one that they live in? I mean, maybe there are a whole bunch of hoops to jump through, and maybe it is more difficult and so on. But is that really that big of a problem? I don't know. I mean, how many checks, balances, and hoops do you have to jump through to move your kid to a different district as it is right now? And again, I understand it's probably a state to state, maybe even district to district kind of thing, but still, is it really that much of a problem right now?
It might be more convenient, or they may be willing to drive a half hour, 25 minutes to drop their kids off at another public school district because it just makes sense to them.
Okay, you know what? Ultimately, I don't have any problem with parents having the choice of having their kid attend whatever school they feel comfortable with. Okay? And if there are some archaic barriers to that or something, or checks and balances and otherwise that prevent that from happening, all right, great. What does that have to do with math scores? What does that have to do with the ethnicity of teachers? I mean, I honestly don't know. I don't know the answer to that question. Shadow Claw. A lot of areas prevent a student from one district to go to another. You would have to move in order to do that. Is that so? Okay, and I'm not being facetious. I don't know. Okay, if you're not allowed to. All right. Now, here's my follow-up question, of course. For all the arguments that say parents should have the ability to move their kid from one district to another, what are the downsides to that? Right? I mean, is there a risk of overpopulating one school versus another, having to deny some transfer requests because there's a limit? I mean, if the school is in another district and it has a high quality of performance or whatever, but they have no extra chairs in the classroom, well, you can't do that then, right? Or should parents be allowed to do that? I'm sure there's a whole bunch of other moving parts to this. But I guess my first question is, if a school is, if you're trying to transfer your kid out of a particular school because that school is inefficient, well, shouldn't the focus be on making that school better rather than trying to escape it? But I don't know. I'm sure there's some checks and balances to it. But again, off on another tangent. What does this have to do with teacher retention or the makeup of the teacher population by demographic? Or, as he brought up himself, math scores?
So we believe in intra-district choice. We
Great. What does that got to do with anything?
believe in career academies. We believe in magnet schools.
I'm sure you believe in a whole bunch of stuff. I believe that at some point when the stars are right, Cthulhu's going to rise from his great house at Relay and devour us all. I mean, I believe that to be so. That's got nothing to do with math scores. So I'm right on the same level as you right now with my belief system. So what?
We believe in dual enrollment schools.
Great. Who cares?
We believe in Montessori public schools.
Great. Who cares?
Let's give parents a broad array of options.
Okay, give parents a broad array of options. And this addresses math scores how?
Because what is happening right now is that the Republican Party
okay, tell me, what's the Republican Party doing?
is offering a big vision for education.
Uh-huh.
And make no mistake about it, they are on a tear across the country. About
what? About parent empowerment? Let's go down to Florida, shall we? You going to bring up Florida? Let's talk about parental choice and parental input in their students' education. It sounds like you guys have some similar philosophy there.
Passing ESA and voucher laws.
ESA and voucher laws. I don't have any context for why that's a bad thing.
It's very clear what they believe in. They believe in private school choice.
And why is that wrong? You just talked about empowering parental choice by allowing parents to have their kids attend whatever school they find most convenient or desirable. And now you're decrying parental choice in private schools. Why?
And our side of the aisle, in my opinion, we can do a much better job providing an alternative to the vision that Republicans are offering.
Really? Because you just told us that the public school system for the last 20 years has been having math scores drop through the floor. You haven't offered up anything to address that major problem. You didn't say anything about what you did while you were overseeing public schools to try to address that problem. You think you can offer a better alternative? Well, you could have fooled me, but let's say you do. Let's say you do offer a better alternative. Let's say in some magic wand situation, you offer a better alternative. Okay, what if a parent still decides to put their kid in a private school? So, should they not have that choice? Did I miss something here?
And that's why it's really important for our party to fully embrace choice and options.
Our party. Oh, so this isn't about educating students. This is our party. Oh, well, what if a Republican Latino walks in the room just now? Well, they don't belong now? Their child, their student doesn't matter? Oh, it's about our party. Oh, all right.
Within the public school system, and offer a vision that resonates with voters.
Oh, okay. For your party. Oh, okay. A vision. Well, could you offer a vision right now? Because I haven't heard anything about a vision. I've heard about what you believe in, but not a vision for how to get there. You got anything to say on that?
This is the last piece that I'll mention.
Is it about how many brown faces are in the audience that you're so happy to see?
As a party, we have to acknowledge that.
Okay, wait a second. This is the Congressional Hispanic Caucus Institute. Now, and this is something I also don't know. Is the Congressional Hispanic Caucus explicitly a Democratic organization? As in, I mean, the Democratic Party. If that's the case, then maybe I've just been I've been on another planet this entire time thinking we're talking about the benefit of students writ large and not based on, political leanings. So is the Congressional Hispanic Caucus an explicitly Democratic organization? I mean, if that is so, then I've been operating under a misapprehension this whole time, and I apologize. I thought it was a bit more broad-based than that. But if that's what he's talking about, I mean, obviously, if they're having a conference for the Congressional Hispanic Caucus Institute, then all right, fair enough. I thought this was something at least slightly more, not necessarily ideologically neutral, but politically neutral. But I suppose we can't avoid it.
That options and choice, they resonate with voters. This is with Republicans, with independents, and also with Democrats.
Really? But you said our party. If you're meaning to be inclusive, you weren't being inclusive a minute ago.
The stakes could not be higher in this challenge. We've crunched some numbers.
Oh, have you?
So in our polling, 18% of African Americans in Georgia support Republicans or trust Republicans more on education.
Okay, his microphone is glitching out. That's him. That's not me. 18% of blacks in Atlanta, Georgia support Republicans.
Than they do Democrats. If 18% of African Americans in Georgia voted Republican in the last election, Donald Trump would be our president, and Senators Ossoff and Warnock would not have been elected.
Oh, so some people of a particular color are not leaning politically the way that you want them to. What? Oh, Derek LaRue, have to leave early. Thanks for the content. You're welcome, Derek. Thank you so much for stopping by and hanging out. And thank you again for your support and donation. Appreciate it. Hope you have a good day. We're almost getting close to wrapping up anyway, but what does the 18% conservative-leaning population of black people in Atlanta, Georgia have to do with any of this?
Republicans would have the presidency, and they would also have the Senate.
And Oh, what a doomsday scenario that would be. Uh-huh.
The stakes are as high as possible. And if we do not, as a party, embrace choice, what we're going to do is we're going to continue to lose voters to Republicans on this issue.
What issue?
We're going to lose close elections.
Wait. The 18% of blacks in Atlanta who are leaning Republican are doing so because of what teacher representation? Did I miss something here? I feel like I'm listening to a cork board with a bunch of red thread all over it. What is going on? This is so bizarre. Thank you, Funtime Bats. It's afraid. Well, I mean, he may or may not be the brain bug from Starship Troopers, but I tell you what, he is making about as much sense as a fearful brain bug. We are all over the map, literally and figuratively now.
To Republicans on this issue, and we're going to end up with their version of choice, which is private school choice, which is dangerous for all of us.
Private school choice is dangerous for all of us. What? Because state funding will start. Well, here's the thing. Here's the thing. I hate to tell you this. Maybe if the public school systems had a better track record on just, I don't know, mathematics results for student success, maybe they wouldn't be running to private schools for a better education for their kids. Maybe you should focus on improving your own area first, rather than demonizing people who want their kids to have a better education. Do you have your priorities straight here? Do you even know what's going on? Good gravy.
Amanda? If I may, so I appreciate the macro level of what's happening.
Do you? Okay.
I want to talk a little bit about what our parents are saying in their communities about what they want and need for their kids.
A well-rounded and quality education.
So during the pandemic, we surveyed families.
You know, I think the pandemic was probably the worst time to try to do a survey of what people want, need, and everything else. I think they had other priorities in mind. I think they were probably a bit more scattered. Maybe you want to look at data before the pandemic to get an idea, because things are going to eventually return back to center. The pandemic is not the end-all, be-all. It is a blip in the overall patterns of behavior and life in the world, you know. Or don't you know that?
And with a focus on Spanish-speaking families who...
Of course. So you excluded any families that don't speak Spanish.
Often don't have the same access to information.
Spanish-speaking families do not have the same access to information. Why?
That other families do.
Why?
And back during the pandemic, the issue of mental health was number one.
For everyone, not just Spanish-speaking families.
Number two was access to technology.
That was not a necessarily racial barrier.
And so while that was then, what's happening now?
Yeah.
Is mental health is still a number one challenge that our families, and I'm talking specifically about Spanish-speaking families.
Of course you, okay, all right. You know what, I'm at the bottom of the hour, and I think I've heard enough for now. So there you go, a little bit of a sample. We got through about just short of half of the overall presentation. We heard from every speaker in one proportion or another. Very enlightening perspectives from each of our speakers. At least I found it enlightening, I suppose. I'm curious to know what you guys think. I'll take a minute or two here to look at some comments. And Advocatus has to say, we're talking to Scanner Daffley. Scanner Daffley says, this is because public schools are largely funded by property taxes. And Advocatus follows up, taxes, but also logistics and just the fact they plan the schools based on district's population. That's also true. Darren Root, I've heard better points from the South Harmon Institute of Technology. I don't know what the South Harmon Institute of Technology is, but wait, I know my brain can brain. I got it. I see what you did there. Okay, I got it. Also, Advocata says he is saying they need to embrace school choice and whatnot that are usually Republican positions to win back voters. I suppose so. Is that it? So that's why he was talking about parental choice, taking down the barriers to district transfers and things. See, now I don't know. Is that such a key issue amongst voters, or I guess in his case specifically the 18% Atlanta Black voters, that would sway them over to the Democratic Party versus the Republican Party? Maybe so. I don't know the dynamics of the whole thing. But it seems weird to me to be decrying parental choice on the one hand while saying that parents need more choice on the other, just not the particular choices that they're making. But of course, in order to make that choice viable in the first place, the public school system would have to improve. And I don't hear a whole lot about that. I heard about the appearance of teachers, the physical appearance and ethnicity of teachers. I heard about professional development, academy programs, all based around race and ethnicity. I didn't hear much about how do we improve students' education. Unless you believe, as apparently at least one or more of our speakers do, that simply having a teacher that looks like you in the classroom, a mirror, as they were referred to, instantly improves test scores. And of course, that's an argument I've heard over many, many years now. But anyway, I think I'm going to call it here, guys. I'm running out of steam as far as this subject's concerned, but I am curious to know what you guys thought of it. So if I didn't get to your comment in the chat, please leave a comment below once the video is posted. Should I do a part 2? Should I continue on with this and finish it up? Is there any interest in that, overwhelming or otherwise? I will take that. I'll take that on advice, depending on what you have to say about it. And be sure to leave a like if you like this kind of thing. Also, if you didn't know, I have a Discord server. And if you didn't also know, I didn't pre-prepare a link to the Discord server. So I'm doing that right now, and now I'm putting it in the chat. If you'd like to join the Discord server, you're not already a member, just have to click on that link. You'll find yourself on the channel called Say Hello. And in addition to saying hello, you just have to give the secret word. The secret word will tell me that you are not a bot and actually watch the show and have thus earned the right, the privilege, the entitlement of joining the Discord server. And today's secret word is, what's a good word? Magnet. Sure. It was said during the course of the show, magnet. Just say, hello, magnet, and I'll know that you watched the show. Additionally, if you'd like to see some more of the kind of stuff that I do, well, I have a whole channel full of this kind of stuff. Also, a library of other videos about education under a playlist called Curriculum of Fear, going back at least 7 years, where I've chronicled different instances of educational chicanery around the ideas of diversity, equity, inclusion, and so on. And if you want to see some stuff that might as well be happening today, but are actually happening 7 years ago, and you see the patterns forming, take a look at those. It might be educational. Also, thank you, Rib Rascal. Good gravy, grazie. Okay, well, Ruby Roo to you too, Rib Rascal. Thank you so much. Hope you have a good rest of your Sunday. And yeah, so also, TED Excellence takes place every Thursday night at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern, where I take a look at an off-brand TED Talk or sometimes an official TED Talk with TEDx Bingo for education and entertainment. And with that, everybody, I want to thank you all for joining me. Moderators, thank you for keeping an eye on things. Even though everyone here is so well-behaved, you have very, very little to do. Also, that was Rib Rascal's very first super chat on a live stream. I feel so honored. In fact, I'm so honored, I'm going to do this. Thank you, Tailed Feature. I will never be able to express how much I am grateful for that little soundbite. It always brings a smile to my face. Also, everybody who donated, whether to myself or to the GoFundMe's pinned to the top of the chat box, thank you guys so much for your generosity. Very much appreciated. And with that, everyone, I hope you have a good rest of your Sunday and weekend. I hope the week ahead provides you with nothing but calm and comfort and just well-being. I know we all have to work, start tomorrow morning, but hey, fingers crossed, it's going to be a good week. As well, I hope you're all safe and well. If you are not well, please get well soon, and I'll see you on the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.